Hello and welcome to an unofficial Chiefsman's Corner episode. I'm your host, Coach Winuvas, Commissioner of the WFL, currently the Rams head coach, but that's neither here nor there. This is an unofficial podcast because we're going to talk about a couple of things leading into the finals part of Madden 24. I want to say thank you to everyone who's done their best to remain plugged in during this last season. It's been pretty trying. I know a lot of folks have had a lot of stuff going on, both personally and just life in general. So thank you guys for doing your best to remain plugged in. As you can see, I am in vacation mode right now. I finished up my work last Friday. I'm recording this on the Wednesday after, and I've got the glasses on. I've got the hat on, which I normally don't do during a podcast because I usually have my hair done up and I usually feel better, but it's early in the morning. I'm tired, and I'm ready for Madden 24 to be done. I'll talk a little bit about some other stuff at the end, but the main part of this video is again to thank you guys for being plugged in on this last season of Madden 24 and to go over the process. Number one, for the carryover draft, I know there's been some questions in chat about how to go about that process, how to get situated and whatnot. Also, we'll talk about some rule changes that are definitely coming into Madden 25, the ones that are definitely coming in. We will update the rule book once the season's over, and I'll do a video rule book update when we get closer to Madden 25 launch. But for now, I'll just go over some of the high points. There won't be any showing of the rule book in the video because obviously we haven't updated the rule book because we haven't finished the cycle yet. But I will encourage you guys, especially those that are making the playoffs, obviously, finish out strong. We will be plugged in for playoff viewing as far as rules violations. Be aware that even this late in the cycle, rules violations, suspensions will carry over to Madden 25 if necessary. And be aware that playoff violations are automatic suspensions. So don't be surprised if you are in the playoffs. You might have a guy suspended for Madden 25 at the start of it. So do be aware of that. We are going to be doing our normal process as far as voting for awards. So you'll see MVP, you'll see All-Pro, you'll see All-Rookie. But just be aware that those points that are accumulated normally in a normal season, because it's the last season of the cycle, none of those guys will be eligible to get points for next Madden. That's not going to happen. So just be aware this is strictly for record book processes. Also with Sportsman of the Season or Sportsman of the Year for Season 9, that owner or those owners will get their ORP points whenever we jump into Madden 25. So that's the only one that's going to actually carry over into the new Madden. Is going to be Sportsman of the Year if that person is still with us when we start Madden 25. So we're still going to have our awards. We're still going to have our cookies for those guys that didn't make the playoffs and for the players that that were exemplary in the video game world for Season 9. We'll check our records as far as see if anybody broke any records for Season 9. But just want to put that out there that we'll be plugged in at least for the playoffs. As far as rules violations are going. So if you've kind of been a bad boy and skirted the rules a little bit during the season and nobody's reported it, be aware that I have a lot of free time now, and I'll try my best to be watching a lot of playoff games, and if I see issues, I'm not going to hold back my anger as far as that goes. So if you've been skirting the rules a little bit and think you can get away with it because it's the end of the cycle, I'm here to tell you, think again. So just kind of nip that in the bud right now. Hopefully we have a good, clean playoffs. Get us a Season 9 winner of the WFL Bowl, and then we'll start Season 10 officially as far as the records go of us record keeping. We'll start Season 10 with Madden 25. Speaking of Madden 25, I've seen a lot of questions in the carryover about the carryover draft. The process for now, just to kind of explain it in words that are, hopefully easier to grasp than just typing out on a keyboard, but it'll be still similar. Anyone who's decided on a team swap, who's agreed to a team swap with another owner, basically that's how you can get about getting a team for Madden 25. The first way you can do it is doing the team swap. We've had, I believe, and I'm going off of memory here, so if I'm wrong, do be aware I'm going off of memory. I think we have 5 owners that have agreed to do team swaps for Madden 25 that are going to take place at the end of Madden 24. So for those 5 owners in particular, or if you're an owner that I've forgotten about, or a last minute owner that's like, oh, hey, I made a swap for Madden 25. I want this team instead of the team I have. And the guy that has the team I want agreed to swap. What do? This is what you do. Hopefully you can coordinate a time before the draft starts, which we will have a good bit of time. Hopefully you can coordinate a time before the draft starts to get into the team that you want to be for Madden 25, which means that you'll coordinate with the owner that you're swapping with. And essentially, basically, you'll both retire out of the game, create new characters, and hopefully you'll be on at the same time to essentially do it at the same time, to where you'll both retire out and then you'll both jump in as your opposite teams. Now, obviously, real life may complicate things, and usually does. So my suggestion to any team that is wanting to swap to a team for the carryover draft that's coming up, so that way you can have a chance to pick players for your team in Madden 25. The best way to do it would probably be once your season is over, meaning if you make the playoffs, obviously once your playoff run ends. If you don't make the playoffs, at that point you can go ahead and begin the swap process. Probably the best way to do it would be to go ahead and retire from the game and essentially coordinate in Discord when everybody's retired out to jump back in as the teams you want. Now that will require some leadership help. Obviously I'll be around as much as possible to help with that. Obviously our leadership team as a whole can help with this, but essentially if you retire out of the game, just either DM leadership or tag leadership in chat and say, hey, I need an invite back to the franchise, and then coordinate in Discord when you want to do that. So essentially, I know we have a 3-team swap that's going on between the Jets, the Raiders, and the Texans, all to get those guys to teams that they would prefer for Madden 25. Essentially, those 3 owners in particular would essentially retire out. Let us know their PSNs, which I believe I have a list. I believe I have a list of the PSNs, so it would just be a matter of tagging leadership and letting us know, hey, I need an invite back to the franchise. We'd send out that invite, and then once you know your team that you're taking over for Madden 25, so you can do the carryover draft in this one, once they're open, you can go ahead and jump back in at your leisure, at your whatever time you can. That's generally the process we've done. Now, obviously, if you can coordinate it to where you're all online and you can all do it online at the same time, that would be awesome. But reality is you're probably going to have to do it the way of retire out of the franchise, ask for an invite back, and then coordinate in Discord when everyone else has dropped out of the franchise as well, and then jump into the team that you're going to be for Madden 25. Now, if you did not get a team swap, we do have an opening in Carolina if anyone would like the Panthers. Again, it is a thing where you need to petition for it, so obviously you're going to need to let leadership know you would like to be the Panthers for Madden 25 specifically, and then we will open up the Panthers and allow you to get in there. Right now, the Panthers have my secondary account set on them because I want them to draft I'm going to set up their draft based on how they did in real life and based upon the draft picks that are available. I'm going to go ahead and set their draft board on that secondary account, set up their favorites, so that way if push comes to shove and no one wants the Panthers, at the very least, whoever our future Panthers owner is, whether it's a new person, so a retread coming back in, they'll at least have a decent pool of carryover players that are legitimate for their roster based on real life free agency in Carolina, real life draft picks in Carolina, things of that nature. So I do have a person on Carolina right now, but do be aware that if you are very interested in the Panthers and truly want to take them over for Madden 25, they are available. You just need to let me know. And then basically we'll decide if we want you to swap, and if you want you to swap, then we'll allow that process. If you have a team and you do not want that team for Madden 25, whenever we get closer to Madden 25, we will have a team draft. I'll probably do a video closer to that time to kind of let you know the process around that. But essentially, everybody who has a team they don't want for Madden 25, you can basically drop them into a team draft. We'll do a randomized order based on who wants it. And then essentially after that is done, we'll go ahead and do a team draft. So do be aware that if you have a team you're not interested in for Madden 25, it's not the end of the world, but do be aware you're going to be taking a chance on getting a team you still don't like for Madden 25. I'm kind of in that boat right now because right now I have the Rams and I don't want the Rams, and I really don't know if I want the Panthers either. So we'll see what happens as far as things go. But so if you are on a team you do not want for Madden 25, you will have an opportunity to if you choose, go into the team draft and basically draft from a pool of available teams once your time to pick is up. So I'll do a video on that if we even have people interested in the team draft whenever that comes up. Now, going back to the carryover, I know I'm rambling a lot. I don't have a list of set notes here, but I have an idea of what I want to talk about. The carryover draft is going to occur once the playoffs are over. We're going to try and coordinate a time where everybody can get on, or as many people as possible. I'm pretty doggone sure we're not going to do a draft show for it. It's just going to simply be show up, make your picks. Whenever you're done making your picks, you can go ahead and exit out. You don't have to stay for the entire draft. I'll be the only one that gets stuck there for the entire draft because I have to be there to facilitate everything and make sure everything goes through. Once the draft is over, that'll be the last thing we do in Madden 25. Free agency will not be a thing you have to participate in. We'll just kind of sim through it. The only reasons we'll stop in free agency is to make sure of like combine numbers and things of that nature. So I don't have a time on the draft yet. Obviously, we're just getting into week 18, so we still have some games left to play and a season left to finish. But do be aware the draft will be as accommodating as possible for as many people as possible. So even if we have to jump the time up or move the time back or whatever we need to do to accommodate as many people as possible, we will for this last session, this last draft. So do be aware that we're going to try our best to accommodate as many people as possible. Obviously, we won't be able to accommodate everybody, and life will always trump this wonderful quote-unquote video game. Yeah, we will do our best to accommodate for the draft, but be aware. Set your favorites board if you don't know how. I believe there's a video I did on it in the WFL breakdowns you can look up in the playlists. It still functions the same way, so it's a little old, but it still functions the same way. But that pretty much will do it for the process. Again, if you still have questions after this video, or if this video didn't make it any more clear than what it already was, you can ask in chat, and I'll be glad to let you know any specifics or hit on anything I may have missed in this video as far as the carryover and switching teams is concerned. But rule changes for Madden 25. Again, if you don't remember any of these, it's no big deal. They'll be in the rule book once Madden 25 drops. The first one, we are going to be rewording and limiting further the ability to audible and hot route and manual motion and do other things. We're going to split it up into certain categories. Categories being like protections, where you can ID the mic or adjust your line left or right for blocking purposes. Those will not receive any sort of limitation. You can do those as many times as you want to play. Obviously, you have to be streaming for us to be able to see this, so that kind of leans into you might want to stream more if you don't stream a lot, or if you're able to stream. Also, audibles and hot routes and manual motions will be severely limited, even more than we do so now. The main reason is we've seen a lot this cycle in particular. Guys are just kind of drawing up plays in the sand in key moments. Uh, Not against the rules, but they are drawing up and adjusting more than we would like them to. So as a leadership team, we've decided to curtail it. Essentially, uh, we've limited it to where instead of being able to adjust twice a play, you'll be able to adjust once a play. You'll see more in the rule book specifically, but I wanted to bring it to your attention that be aware that play alteration is going to be more limited in Madden 25 and WFL than it was in Madden 24, and be aware of it moving forward. The other thing, or major thing, I think there's only two, but I'll probably think of another one as I'm talking. The other thing is rookie carryover based on feedback from owners. What we're going to do, but you'll have to be patient with us on the leadership side because we do have to pull this data after the draft, is we will do our best to make every draft a carryover potential draft. So that way, if you draft a generational talent in year one that you really like, they will be eligible to be carried over to Madden, the new Madden. So essentially, we're going to widen the pool of available draft potential as far as carryover. Do be aware that at this time, they will be day one draft players. In other words, if you take a player in the first year of a draft, or the first draft of the cycle that you really like and you want to carry him to the new Madden, that's the guy you want. They will be just like they were in that year one draft. You won't have 3, 4, 5 years of build into that player whenever you carry them over to the new Madden. We are not doing that at this time. I know other leagues that I've participated in the past, and other leagues in general, when they do carryovers, will do things like that. I still don't feel comfortable, and leadership as a whole doesn't feel comfortable with that yet. But maybe if we talk about it more in Madden 25, maybe we can come to some sort of agreement for Madden 26 if we're still all around, because we obviously have some new games like NCAA coming out that may curtail some interest out of Madden in general. I did think of the other thing as I was talking, like I mentioned earlier. The other thing we're going to be doing next cycle, which is going to be a lot different, it's going to take some buy-in from everybody, is we will do a play sim schedule. What that means is we will play a season and then we will simulate a season immediately after the first play season ends. And then we will jump into a play season as soon as that simulated season is over. We have worked out the kinks as much as we can. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the bad news now for those of you that are really gung-ho, like gotta play guys. The shortest time frame we can figure out right now between the end of a play cycle and the start of the next play cycle with a sim season in between is 13 days. Now, that's a lot of time, but I will state you will be occupied with doing things like doing re-signs, you'll be doing trades, you'll be doing 2 drafts in 13 days. So that's a lot of work for Bugman and the big board. But do be aware that there will be stuff going on during those 13 days. But I want to make you aware of it now, that there will be a time where there will be no Madden going on as far as being on the sticks and actively playing games. The simulated season, we had discussions about it as a leadership group. I had my opinions, but unfortunately, I say unfortunately, the leadership team and I both kind of agreed and kind of compromised on a couple of things to make the sim season go as quickly as possible. But the sim season will count for records, and the main reason we're doing play sim is we had the best scheduling we've ever had since I've been in charge of WFL, going back to the first iteration in Madden 16 to Madden 20 when we stopped WFL excuse me, to Madden 22 when we came back. And throughout all of that, I mean, I've been in charge of WFL since Madden 16 pretty much through to Madden 24 minus a year in between. This is the best we've ever scheduled. everybody was on point. Everybody was getting games in as quickly as they possibly could with a 72-hour advance window. And we still only got 4 seasons in. So something has to give, because I think a lot of guys that are more contract focused, like myself and others, we want to see guys see the punishment of signing long-term deals that we try to restrict with our rules. We want guys to see that the pain that comes with those deals when they get into those 4, 5, 6, 7 years in. So we want to incorporate this play sim schedule because we think if we get 4 play seasons in, and then you throw 3 sim seasons in between, that's 7 seasons that we'll see players accumulate, retire out. We'll see a whole new crop of players, and also we'll see a whole new crop of players come in, which is even more important. But we wanted to have more seasons to have the contracts and the signings and free agency have more of an impact. We're also, we're talking about revamping the points we give out for ORP for restricted free agents. I know there was some talk, especially at the end of the cycle, when certain players hit free agency and then didn't get signed because the computer asked for a lot of money. We're talking about doing potentially some guaranteed points. In other words, even if a player doesn't sign with a team, you still get some points. You won't get full value, but you will get points, especially for those high overall or high ORP players that are just asking for the moon and you can't give them the moon and nobody else can either. We still want to reward you for having the courage to put that player out in free agency. We haven't come up with any plan on it yet, but it is in talk, so just putting that out there in this video as well for feeler purposes. I believe that's all the major changes that are definitely going in, and then that last one with the ORP is a maybe, but the other ones are definites. So especially with Play Sim, it's coming, guys. And I know it. The leadership team, we worked hard on making sure this schedule would work, to make it as fast as possible for those guys that are just about playing the games, to make it as fast as possible for them to get back to playing games, but to also allow those guys that are more into the strategic GM side of it to kind of get their jollies as well, as far as making sure free agency works for them and having those long-term plans actually bear fruit. And then obviously the carryover draft, the eligible carryover draft, I will say on that, because we have to pull that data after the draft, there may be a delay after the draft for us to pull that data, and we might be held up overnight because right now we have one guy that pulls the data, and that's Clyde, just to let you know, and he has the ability to pull that data into a spreadsheet for us, and then I manipulate that spreadsheet to work to where we can edit it out, and that's the spreadsheet you see whenever you pull up the rookie carryover list. It's a combination of Clyde's effort of pulling the data and then me organizing it so it's more readable for us when we go to implement that data into the new Madden. But it's Clyde starts the ball rolling big time. And if he's not available that night that we do the draft, then we'll just have to wait on him to do it, because we don't want any sort of experience or extra scenarios getting put in, or anybody basically doing training or anything to kind of throw something into the mix. So we could have an extra day or two where, hopefully not more than a day, but hopefully we'll get it to a point where we'll be pretty quick about it. But I just want to put that out there as a caveat that we may have to be a little patient with this process if you want, because it sounds like from feedback everybody wanted more choice for carryovers, but this is the price you pay for it. So if you're patient with the process of us getting that information so we can have it whenever we get to the end of the cycle, then it'll be more rewarding for everybody involved. So I kind of want to get your mental state in there as far as making sure you understand that this process will have a little bit of an unintended consequence, but we're going to make that consequence as low end as possible on our end. But we just ask that you be patient with us and make sure that we don't go crazy whenever that draft ends and everybody's like, we're ready to go to preseason. Well, we aren't, because we haven't got the data yet. But I want to put that feeler out there for you, and I also want to make sure that you're mentally prepared for a play sim schedule, and be aware that it may feel like a long layover, but I promise you, with the GM and off-season activities that'll be going on, plus ORPs will be building up, things of that nature, there will be stuff going on. So it won't be something where it's like, oh, well, we're in the sim season, I'm going to unplug. No, you need to be plugged in even more, because there's going to be stuff going on that you're going to have little to no control over, but you want to still be there to have as much control as possible, because it could cost you valuable skill points, valuable things for your team that you will miss out on because you said, well, I'm not playing, so I don't care. So be aware that this is a league that not only wants you to care about playing the games, but also care about the management side of it as well. And that being said, I'm going to end this video on a note. This cycle has been probably the most exhausting I've participated in a long time, and the reason for that is my own fault. But I want to kind of put out there why I've kind of been a little more aloof this past month, probably more so than I normally am at this time of the year, because I'm already looking forward to the end of the cycle. Normally by draft time, I'm usually ready to unplug from Madden. I'm usually done with it. But this cycle for me has been really tough, just because been real busy at school. But the main thing has been I took over running the GM league. Ross was wanting to step away, and I didn't want to let it just kind of die. So I took over and put some structure and added some rules and added some things to it. But I quickly have found out that playing in a second league, and granted, the GM league is not even playing, you just simulate games. But the structure of simulating games and taking an hour out of your day to simulate, and I personally like to do commentary over mine. I like to put that extra flair into it, that little extra effort. The extra effort in that league, plus doing what I do in WFL, has just completely drained my Madden battery. Like I'm beyond tapped. I'm just done. Like I was done in probably early March. Like I really have been struggling, and it's probably shown in chat. It's probably shown in, obviously the podcasts are pretty much dried up. But I wanted to explain why. I took on too much is what it boiled down to. I did it because I was trying to help the community, our community, kind of try and branch out a little bit. I feel like GML is in a better place now than it was when I took over. And that's not a slight against Ross, who was running that league in the least. I just felt like it needed more structure and more stability. I feel like I added that. But I will also state that I now remember why I only do one league, because between doing the draft board, doing the extra content I love doing for WFL, I then kind of took some of that energy and put it into GML, and I took all that energy out, and I just was drained. I didn't want to play WFL games. I didn't want to do any content. I mean, to be honest, the draft board, you may have noticed if you ever bothered to pull up the Buckman's big board, it wasn't done until week 17. I'm usually done with it by week 8, guys. I struggled mentally to even bother to get on to put the information in. I was just drained. So I wanted to come on camera and say that, because I want you guys to know that it's nothing anybody in the league has done. It's not that I don't like the league anymore. I honestly put too much in, and I needed to recoup. So GML is almost done, and once this season is over in GML, it'll officially be locking down for the cycle. I will not be back with GML in Madden 25. If someone else wants to run GML or feels confident running GML, and I feel confident in their capability to do so, we'll open it back up and see if we can get it going. I will not be participating in it, and I also know that any extra leagues we do in the WFL community, that's not a knock against anybody that's going to be running the leagues or doing anything with them. We have a lot of great people here in this community. I don't have the energy for more than one league anymore. Like I barely have the energy for one league. And doing all the extra stuff like the Buckman Big Board, I love doing that, or I did until I hit the wall this year. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing the articles. All that stuff just completely evaporated because all I was doing was admin on both sides, and that's all I had the energy and time for, was just basically keep stuff floating. And I need WFL, this league, WFL, is the one I want to put the energy into. So next Madden, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be in any other league other than WFL. Even the NCAA game, if it comes out and it's light years better than Madden, I'll still be doing WFL, because I can't do NCAA and WFL. Or Madden. I've learned I cannot juggle more than one league with the amount of stuff I want to put into the league. I've learned that. I've learned my limitations. I learned it the hard way. I thought, I could do 2 leagues because, granted it's been a long time, but before I started WFL, I did 2 leagues and I had the energy for that, and that was 10 years ago. So I found I don't have the energy for it anymore. I don't have I have the time, I just don't have the energy, is what it boils down to. So I wanted to come out and kind of explain why I have been kind of aloof lately, or just kind of not as much engaged in chat. It's not anything the community's done. It's kind of what Mad's done, but Mad's been trash for years and years. It's just I put too much on my plate, and my plate is now empty, and I am starving for anything else. I've been playing a lot of other games lately, just trying to get some energy back, doing something different. So that's where I've been. If you've been questioning it, I still stay plugged into Discord. It's on my phone. I check it periodically. I respond to guys periodically. I'm not as quick about it as I usually am, but that's the reason. I'm Madden drained, and I know there's a couple of guys that have voiced to me the same thing. They're ready for this cycle to end, as am I. But we still have stuff we still need to get done before we can call Madden 24 finished off and put a little bow on it. And end it hopefully with a bang and a great WFL Bowl 9. So with that being said, I've rambled long enough. This has been a long enough video. This video was mainly about the process for the carryover draft coming up, as far as switching teams, a few different rules changes that are coming into play for Madden 25 that are preliminary. Well, they are in the books, but they're not in the books yet, if you get my drift. And then just honestly, I feel like you guys deserved an explanation on why I've been kind of out of it lately, and I gave that, and hopefully that's acceptable. If you're still not happy with that, then I don't know what to tell you. So, but with that in mind, I'm going to bring this Cheeseman's Corner. I'm going to bring it to a close. I've been obviously Winuvas, one of the leadership team here in WFL, proud leadership team here in WFL. And guys, until probably next season, maybe, I don't know, might sneak another podcast in here. So never say never on the corner being closed until Madden 25, but the corner's closed.